Grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch. No, real women don't. 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 Real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Yay, ladies! What's going on? How appropriate. We are on fire. It's been a while since I've solicited people or even had a guest on the podcast. And last week we had an amazing guest, and we are not going to fall any further short this week. This queen on here, she's on fire, great vibes, great energy from the moment that I met her, and she reads. Yes. So let me put a side note in here really quick. I need to go ahead and plug this. Many ladies have filled out the application to be a guest on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. I'm all about processes and procedures, and I keep on putting it out there. You got to read the entire email that I send you when I disclose what all you have to do in order to be able to be a guest, because there is one specific piece of instruction. I can't tell you what that is, because if I do, then you guys will skip the other part. But she read it. She read it, and she did it, and she made it through, and we're here. So there's no qualification, ladies. There's no qualification to be on here except for the fact that you are a woman in business who's willing to be transparent about their story and real about where you are in your business. If you're a beginner or a six-figure earner, talk to the truth about your story, and that's it. So without further ado, hey, Takisha Artis, how are you? I'm excited to have you.
I am great. Thank you for having me. Yes, I do read. I love reading is my favorite thing to do. Okay. Love it.
Yes. So I'm glad to have you here. This is your time. So listen, we're going to just let you start this. First of all, please let the ladies know something about you. Talk to them about, just let them know who you are as a person, and then we can get into business.
Okay. So my story actually is a personal one. So I was first year college student, and I literally got a credit card. First week I was on campus. I didn't understand what a credit card was. I didn't even know how to use. I didn't know I had to pay the money back. Okay, let's start with that. And so I was ill-equipped to handle college and graduate, and now I'm this new mom, and suddenly I'm single and bankrupt. And I'm like, I got to figure this thing out. And my grandmother pretty much raised me. And one of the things that she always preached, because she was a stay-at-home mom, she said, always have your own, baby. Always have your own. And when you little, you like, my own what? Like, what does that mean? And, when you become older, you start to kind of develop your own meaning of have your own. And I really felt like I had my own but I wasn't keeping my own. And I had this little baby to take care of, and I was lost. I felt like a failure as a mother. Like, I can't support me and him. And so I vowed during one of my days, I'm like, God, you got to change this for me. Like, I need help. Mm-hmm. And, you know, money is one of those things that people are embarrassed about. They're ashamed of their situation. And I was one of them. And I'm like, God, you got to get me out of this. Like, what do I really need to do? And that started a journey of just personal development, because that wasn't in my community really talked about being a better person. Yeah. But it also started a journey of spirituality, because I wasn't born or come from a home that is really into the church. And so I started to just personal development and spirituality and really focusing on money. And it's funny because as I kind of grown, my income has grown, but in the back of my mind, I've still held on to that fear of, what if I can't take care of us anymore? And I know, even making six figures, that still is a worry of mine. And so I'm like, if that's a worry of mine, that has to be a worry for other women. And we often think like, okay, well, if I make good money, I should know what to do with it. And that's not true. I have an accounting degree. I am a CPA. Not one time in my education was I ever offered a personal development class or a personal finance class.
I gotta stop you right there, because it's like a doctor that doesn't ever learn anything about nutrition.
Yes.
You know, but you know how I am, because you've listened to the podcast. I got to interject because I got to make sure that the ladies are connecting the dots. Number one, I'm just really big on us as sisters. First of all, recognizing that we're not really that far removed from each other. All of our experiences are not exactly the same, but there are so many ways that they look very familiar and we have more in common. So I was raised by my grandmother too. And I remember her telling me that the reason why she went out and got a job was because one day she asked my grandfather for some money, and he asked her, what did she need the money for? And she remembered being so upset because she needed them for feminine products because her cycle had began. And so just like you, I kind of got that lecture. And I've heard those same words about make sure you always have your own, you know, but for me, that was like have my own crib, have my own car, but it didn't mean, you know, all of the other stuff, have the security, have the foundation. So that's an unfortunate circumstance that does travel in our community a lot, because we don't talk about money. And the best advice that we've mostly been given is to make sure that we have our own. Same thing with the credit cards. I was in a homeless shelter. So for a second, and I was a young mom like you. I was pregnant my first year in college, or as soon as I graduated, and I went ahead and went straight through. And so we talked about living skills and how you pay bills and what will interest be on credit cards. But I got that first bill and I didn't pay it and my phone was shut off, you know. And so like you, unfortunately, our money relationship starts with drama. And so we go to school, we get an education, and whether that's just, you know, traditional standard education or whether we go higher for higher learning, you're right. We don't learn the real hardcore nuts and bolts about managing money. And a lot of us believe that the more we make, the better we'll be, but we're still fighting and robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so some of you that are listening, you know, I really want you to pay attention to some of the things the sister's going to bring to the table, because she's saying, hey, I was able to get myself well over six figures, but I was still paranoid and still trying to find out how to manage this money thing. And so we have to not think so highly of ourselves that we miss an opportunity to get some real information. And so I just wanted to piggyback, you know, off of what you said, and also show you how, like, wow, you know, a lot of similarities are in both of our stories. But, you know, so keep it back up. You didn't know anything about money, and you were learning on your journey.
Yes. And so I realized, okay, the best thing for me right now is to file bankruptcy. And I filed, and I thought, this is when you don't know, right? I didn't know, other than you shouldn't do it, that it was a bad thing. I really started to kind of feel like this was a new start for me. And so the shame and the embarrassment kind of went away very fast, because I'm like, I can breathe now.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of breathing room. And so the back of my head was like, you won't ever have the things that you want. But the other half was like, you got a fresh start. Like, use this to the fullest. And so a couple years later, I've wanted a house, and I'm like, can I afford it? You go through these things, but sometimes we are the ones who, I'm going to say this with love, we are the ones who mess ourselves up. We are the ones who sabotage us the most, because we don't feel like we're worthy of those things. We don't really know how it would work for us. And then we start to focus on, well, I don't see the plan, or I can't see the vision. And what I've realized is that if you have faith, the how isn't your problem. You just have to focus on what it is that you want, and then the steps will come. And I was like, okay, well, I want a house. I want to have my son live in the environment that I grew up in, because I want him to live past 18. Like it was. And so I started this journey. And when I first started my business, I really just wanted to help women entrepreneurs DIY their finances. And I'm like, why isn't this really important to them? And what I realized is that money was important to them, but their personal finance was more important. And that's the one that caused them the most problems. So they were the business was mirroring the personal.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, well, how do I help them with this? And because I'm a reader, I started to kind of figure out, like, what's the missing piece? And the missing piece was the financial psychology, the behaviors. Why do we do the things? We know we should save. We know we should live within our means, but why don't we? It's the behaviors. It's those money stories that I learned as a child that still affect me as an adult, that I haven't really healed.
You said a mouthful, and just kind of taking all of it and putting it like in a big old pot of gumbo. And there's this theme that's circulating a lot, like right now during the moment that we're recording, is this whole thing about being enough. And so, honestly, when you don't believe that you're enough, you don't take care of yourself accordingly.
No.
When you feel like, I'll take it to relationships. Like if you feel like you wife material, then you go outside with your hair combed a certain kind of way. You don't even waste conversations with certain kind of men. You treat yourself differently. When you don't feel like your home is enough, or you're not grateful, you don't tend to it. You don't keep it as clean. Take it off, ladies, even like a man with a car. When he's like finally got the car that he wanted and he loves, he shines it and washes it more than he pays attention to anything else. When we believe something is enough and we are satisfied with it, we take care of it. And so, without stepping into your lane, I can tell you from working with women, being a business coach, the way that I see them do things with their money, it's more toxic. It's like it's a knee-jerk reaction to, well, I'm gonna abuse myself, a dysfunctional relationship. He might hit me today, but he gonna make love to me tomorrow. And so I'm living in poverty and I don't have enough right now. So when I do finally get something, I'm just gonna further hurt myself, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm just gonna buy up the mall or invest in something that I don't need, but at least I had some money to spend on myself. There's no growth and appreciation for, what? A real relationship starts with patience, and we get to know each other and we court a little bit. We don't try to get to know money and try to hold on to it or save it and see how it can grow and what it can do. And that is because it is, especially in business, it is because your business finances is a mirror of your personal finances. Ladies, like real talk. Before she goes any further, how do you feel right now about you and your relationship with money? Do you believe that you're enough? Do you believe that you're worthy to have lump sums of money? Because in a sidebar business note, and I'm going to give it back to her, a lot of times your price point tells whether or not you believe you're enough. And so you can't even charge, some of you can't even charge enough to get what it is that you need. You're just mirroring what you think you see somebody else seeing. I have products out there that skeet. they $27, $50, $97. But I also have products out there that are $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 because I dispense information according to me knowing my worth. So where are you all at with your money story? Tell the truth. What did you learn? What was your first experience with money? These are kind of questions you need to ask yourself. But anyway, dialing it back. So you said it was really difficult for you to get these women in business to want to take hold of it. So you started getting into the psychology of, their money stories. What are some triggers, without going into your process, but what are some of the triggers or issues that stimulate this feeling of not enough or this dysfunctional relationship, we'll say, with money?
Childhood. We learn about money, obviously, through our parents or whoever took care of us, how they talked about money, how they didn't talk about money, right? We modeled their behaviors. And so if I always give this analogy. When I was younger, when I first started my business, I had an issue with receiving. And so I would have this launch and I would launch it. I would sell, even though selling was very uncomfortable for me. I mean, like literally, which as a business owner, like I'm setting myself up to fail right there. Right. But I didn't recognize it at the time. And so I had a problem receiving. So I would have this launch and it would do whatever. But in the back of my mind, I didn't think it would work. I didn't believe the product. I didn't believe the price. And so when it would do semi-bad, it was like, oh, I expected that. Like, oh, yeah, I'm terrible at sales. And so I got to this point where I started to realize like I would sell and then I would shy away. I would disappear. So if I launched, I would focus on that, but you wouldn't see me on social media. Mm-hmm. And so the second or third time that it happened, I'm like, okay, something's off here. And so when I started to really like get into the mindset of it, I realized like, why do I do this? Not that I don't like selling or I'm uncomfortable selling, because I realized if I could sell once, I could sell twice. And if I've sold once, I sold twice. So I'm like, okay, that isn't. So I had to dispel that lie that I was telling myself.
Yeah. And
so I started to kind of look at it. And one of the things that came up was when I was younger, if we went to someone's house, my grandmother would say, when we get in here, don't ask for anything.
Yeah.
What happens? We get uncomfortable then with asking for things.
Yes.
And so if you're uncomfortable, compliments are sometimes like, thank you. It's just uncomfortable. So we don't realize like those things that we're told in childhood, how we hold on to them as adults and they don't serve us. Absolutely. Or it could be you are in the store and you don't have any money, but then your son says, hey, can I have this? And you blow up like, don't put that back. And your emotions are in it. Well, what did you just tell them?
Yeah.
Money, when you ask for things or when you want things and you don't have the money, it's a bad situation. And so young minds kind of blow things out of proportion.
Yeah.
And so they realize, okay, money is a bad thing, or I don't want to deal with money because the last time something with money was involved, I got yelled at. Why would I ever want to hold on to money? I wouldn't. And so sometimes people don't have with money, we all have different stories. You may have a story of making money. You may have a story of holding on to money because maybe it's uncomfortable for you. You may have a story of debt is okay for you because you feel like I ain't gonna take it with me. So I'm going to live this life to the fullest and no regard for, the future. Yeah. So, we have to look at our stories individually for different areas of our finances.
Absolutely.
I had a okay story when it came to money because I had filed bankruptcy. And so that story was you always have a backup plan. But then I got to hoarding money. I didn't want to spend it. And so then I had mom guilt. And so I would spend on my son, but I would look like, not a very kept woman. And so it was like that showed me like I valued his worth over mine.
Yeah.
But I'm the one going to get the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I started to really look at these things, I looked at, you know, how do I appreciate myself? How do I value myself? What are my money priorities? And looking at my story on all angles, not just, you know, people think that wealth is this thing that doesn't apply to them. Ooh. Especially women, because we can't figure out like how we would get it. And if we look at what society says wealth is, it's like you either have to invest or you have to have real estate. And those things, if you aren't familiar with them, it's uncomfortable. So we kind of discount ourselves out of the running in the beginning.
Yes.
But I always tell people, everybody's version of wealth is different.
Exactly.
Wealth doesn't mean that you have to have a Maserati and a mansion. It could be you have a good enough cash flow that you're comfortable when you retire, or you have enough money to retire early.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different ideal. And so I think if we started to focus on what our ideal is, we wouldn't really care about what society says that looks like.
Wealth could also mean that in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis, that not even though your business may be impacted to a degree, you don't have the same financial stresses as everybody else.
Yes. Very true.
You know, and I mean, and that's being real. And so, and I'm going to use this as an example because, you know, I've been hammering in on Facebook and I'm like, I'm promoting my summit. I'm telling people to sign up, you know, and I'm promoting other things. And, you know, some people are like, why are entrepreneurs still putting their offers out there? Yada, yada, yada. I didn't went out there and I'm like, look, we're essential businesses, you know, but I'm going to leave that alone. But I talked about, you know, the poor levels of expectation. See, you don't expect anybody to buy your product or service, but I have a group program and somebody just signed up and they were like, you know what? I prefer to just pay for the 6 months in advance. Everybody isn't suffering right now. No. Everybody isn't going through something right now. I spoke with another woman. Of course, I don't count my money until I get it. She's supposed to sign up on April the 1st, in a few days from now. People are still buying tickets to the summit. So my expectation is that what I bring to the table, that I'm a world changer, that what I'm doing for real, that it means something. And if I'm still putting in the necessary effort for you to get it, then I expect my compensation. Just like you go buy food, you buy clothes, or you buy a whole bunch of toilet tissue that you ain't going to be able to use until August because you didn't of 2021, because you didn't overstocked in this crisis. You know, my perception and how I perceive things is differently. And so you look like you want to say something. I'm going to let you say something. I got another comment you said about something you said too, but come on.
So I've seen that on social media, but my thing was Fashion Nova never stopped sending emails. They changed the narrative. And so instead of it being, you know, the club attire, they said they posted, I think it was like cozy at home. They are still selling. Why as entrepreneurs do we feel like we can't compete with the same level of marketing and showing up as other businesses just because mine is maybe at home and online? Yeah. Fashion, it's no different. Like you said, my clients, they aren't suffering. I've predicted started preparing them for the recession last year because that's when it first came out. Now, where the yadas is, they said it was third, fourth quarter. Now it's first, second quarter. But I had been talking about it and telling people, you have got to prepare. Your business may be affected. Get your reserves set up. Like, if there was ever a time where you needed to be better with money, now is the time. And now we're in a situation where now we're trying to react. And sometimes when you are in a crisis, you react based off of emotion. Now is not that time either. Yeah. Now it's time to look at the facts. Like, if you've never looked at how much money you make and how much you spend, you have got to. You have got to know how much it costs to operate your business. You have got to go through line by line to see where you can cut costs.
Yes.
businesses that make millions of dollars are doing it. Just because you make hundreds of thousands or even thousands, you are no different. You have got to use them as the model and say, if they are laying people off, do I need to consider it?
Yeah.
We have got to stop. I would say, like, you won't be a mom and pop business forever. You have got to start laying that foundation early so that you can, as a CEO, get that mindset, so that a lot of people can't even qualify for grants because they don't have anything to show that they've made the money, or that they are, what their expenses are, because they haven't truly got their financial situation together. And I'm like, ladies, it's a software. It does it for you.
Yeah.
No excuse.
You know, so let me say this before I forget. When you were talking about showing up in entrepreneurship, another poor behavior that I've seen with women to show that they're not worthy and they have a dysfunctional relationship with money is the fact that being in a financial crisis often brings the animal out in people. Because it's like, oh my God, I was afraid to sell, but if I don't pay my rent, I got to do something. And so now all of a sudden you sell. And it's like, I didn't think I was going to make it. All right, I got a couple clients, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm good. And then I fall back and then I'm working. But then those clients expire. Their term is up. Something happens and they're like, well, whether I still owe you or not, I can't pay, or I'm going to pay you later. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm back in this crunch again. My business isn't doing that good. And not realizing that as a business owner, you were supposed to keep on marketing. You were supposed to still keep on putting yourself out there. You were still supposed to be forging relationships. You were still supposed to be serving your clients. And you have to do all of those things simultaneously. But a lot of times the way we move and the way we choose to sell or not sell is based on the woosah moment that we get momentarily once we finally get some clients, as opposed to, I tell my clients, call to action all the time. Call to action all the time. My thing is lead with value. I lead with value. So I give value every day, so I can ask you to buy something every day. I am a store. I am open for business. There's no difference with me than a brick and mortar. If I got flowers in my floral shop, I'm not waiting on them to die. You come and you start inquiring about my flowers, I'm expecting you to buy a rose. Same thing with me. You come inquiring about my sales strategy, I'm expecting you to get a course, so to hire me one-to-one. And so a lot of times, you ladies, you're not doing that because you're complacent for a second with just being able to get by. You got a little bit of something and you stop. But going back to the other point, this is a juicy conversation. I should have been taking notes while you talking so I don't forget. I'm not going to be able to respond to everything. The whole issue with the money, I love it when God allows me to catch a woman at the beginning of building her business, because a lot of women can cut costs right now. The average woman, it's like, why are you paying for that? You know what I'm saying? You went out and paid for AWeber when you could have been using Mailer Lite. You so busy worried about how pretty and how functional the opt-in page is and what analytics you can get. Excuse me, you ain't even gonna study no analytics. Excuse me, you only email your list once a quarter. Some of you had a list for 6 months and ain't even sent them anything. You're paying for all of this special software and you don't even utilize it. Like you said, they got money, but they can't prove it. You have no contracts. You don't have your business file. You always trying to cash app something. You don't have a business account on PayPal or whatever. You don't have a business checking account, and just so many different things. You don't even have your stuff in order. But every time you get a lump sum of money, you got the website. Some of y'all just running around when there's nothing wrong with speaking for free or for fee, but y'all just running around at any and every little event. You can spend anywhere from $80 to $200. You got a pop-up stand and you still don't even know how to sell from stage. You haven't even written a book to sell at the back of the room. Well, you don't even have a course created. You just hoping that people will see you. And if you could just be inspiring, if you could just be a woman who is getting straight bank. And so I find that when women get into business, they invest in all the peripheral stuff because once again, they aren't enough. The website gonna make them look better. The pop-up stand gonna make them look better. The pictures that they took gonna make them look better. But then when it comes for them to actually show up, to have the confidence to sell, to say, these are the products that I have, buy something from me, all of that stuff isn't in order because you still don't believe that you're enough. And so you got to stop getting these lump sums of money and running really quick and going and spending them on stuff instead of taking your time and romancing and nurturing the relationship with your business, because some of you all are buying buying into things that you don't even need in order to be able to make money. I always ask people, what's the least path of resistance to get paid? Start generating some revenue first and find out people's habits and learn what's really going to work for your business before you start investing in all of this stuff that ain't going to do you no good.
I agree. I think part of the problem is on social media, there are so many people telling you, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And once I realized, like, I was doing a little bit of what this person said, doing a little bit of what this person said, doing a lot of this one, but none of it was coming together.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I couldn't quite figure out, like, I wanted a coach, but I'm like, I know what my vision is. I know what I'm put here to do, but I couldn't find that coach to get me where I needed. It was like a coach, you know, they give you bits and pieces, but I'm like, I know the vision. Yeah. I know what I'm here to do. But I think sometimes there's so much in your ear, you can't process all of it.
No.
You have to learn to understand what you need, work on that, and shut the rest out. Find one or two good people who are giving you what you need and focus in on them. Yeah. And not expect to do all things at one time. I always tell my clients, when it comes to money, I have a 7-day rule. You cannot buy anything unless you are going to fully utilize it and implement it within 7 days. Why? Because we get shiny object syndrome, right? We see, oh, there's this new course, but go back to the things that you bought already. Do you already have that? We're still buying new courses, new classes, new books, but we got a whole catalog and 15 other courses that we've never utilized. What you have is already in there. Yeah. You just need to do it.
Absolutely.
But we're looking for that quick fix to get us this one piece. But it's most times is bigger than that one piece. Mm-hmm. You got to get that foundation together.
Yeah, it's like I had a client, I remember when we first started working together, I was like, okay, my first thing, every single woman that works with me, and this is advice for those of you, you don't have to want to work with me. Find the person that will do it. Mm-hmm. You establish your ideal client first. Your gift is innate. It's inside of you. You know what you want to do. You got this overall vision, but who wants it? And trust me, everybody doesn't want it. Everybody, you are not here to save the world. One of my girlfriends said the only person that has the niche of everyone is God. Everybody else, we got to get more specific. But I remember, and I was like, okay, we got this group, and I'm telling everybody, go through the ideal client assignment. I'm like, first, you're going to do this assignment. Now, I don't want to know what your course is, your offering. I don't want to know any of that stuff. Who are you meant to work with? And I want you to know her like a science. I want you to know if she gets up in the morning and has a cup of coffee to start her day, she stops at Starbucks to treat herself and need another cup by the time she gets to the desk because caffeine is her high. You know, if you, whatever it is about them, you need to know them, and you have the ability to know them that way. And so we would come into the group, the ladies would give their report, and she'd be like, yeah, you know, I haven't got to everything just yet, you know, because I'm working on my signature offer. And I'm like, what signature offer? And, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, we just got to take our business babies, and, you know, it takes a village to raise a baby. So, you know, I got another coach, and, you know, I'm working on my signature offer. I'm like, how you got a coach that's helping you with a signature offer and you don't know who you serving? You know, and so, and it took months to break her away from that, and for her to, and now fast forward years later, her signature course looks nothing like what she thought she was trying to create back then. Ladies, if you can't get one person to spend money with you and then duplicate that, then you don't have a signature offer just yet. You got to really take your time, because knowing that ideal client to a science like what I'm saying, it's gonna cause you to understand they might not even need a course. They really may need the intimacy of your touch. It may be later, you know, so you're trying to make the course, and right now where you are with your teaching style, they don't even need that. And so you're going to pay for all this stuff, and you're going to be on course craft, and you're going to pay the extra to get all of the extra things beyond the drip features. and then you're going to do a launch and you're going to get crickets and nobody's going to buy your stuff. I know the average woman spends anywhere from $75 to about $350 a month in tools for her business that she never even uses. And we've got to stop that. So, man, go ahead.
And you think about like, okay, if you aren't using 75 to what you say, $300 a month, what you could be doing with that money in your home. Because, like I said, they're mirrors. So if you are wasting that in your business, what are you wasting in your personal finances?
Well, can we also just be honest and admit that the average woman uses her money from her job to fund her business, and you already robbing Peter to pay Paul, so you're at a deficit. And you could
on both ends.
Yeah, and I had one client, and I was like, look, don't go out there and get no car. Go ahead and save. Do you have a man around you that legit knows vehicles? Go ahead and save. If you're bringing in this kind of money right here, right now, save it so that you can get a decent car for like $3,500 with a minimal amount of work. You're not even driving it that much. You work from home. Don't give yourself a liability and get high off the hog because you bring in a lot of money in right now, because there's an ebb and flow to business and you're still learning your business. And sometimes when we start our businesses, we have these booms of income. And then it's kind of like, wait a minute, what happened? But I'm still doing all the things, because maybe what you didn't realize, and you might realize this if you had a coach, is that you had that one offer. But when that offer expires, you got too comfortable with the one offer, but you're not growing with your audience. So you don't have anything else to feed them into, or you weren't creating supplemental offers to cross offer them anything, so that you're still, nickel and diamond, so to speak. But I mean, when I'm saying that, not meaning really nickel and diamond, but sometimes I have clients where every time you turn around, it's $27.50, $97 here. Then I have those same clients that it's like, okay, here's a $6,000 contract that I want to sign up. And so the people that are with me, they're buying my books, they're buying my courses, they're coming to my summits, they're paying for my coaching. I have so much to give. And some of you all haven't even gotten to that point yet. And so luckily that one took my advice. I'm like, plus you don't have a man in your life. You're going to be going to these shops all the time. You have to slow down, because that car is going to end up becoming a burden for you. I wouldn't tell everybody to necessarily do the same thing, but there's a lot of stuff that's missing out of that woman's story. But still, if she was high on the hog and wanted to have her dysfunctional relationship and treat herself finally, she would have went and got a brand new spanking, fresh whip with a high, insurance cost, and then been struggling. And when some things came down the pipeline, she was still okay and able to take care of them, so go ahead.
That is a great point. I think that happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, to be honest. They start making better money, but instead of kind of doing other things with it, like saving or paying down the debt, they increase their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so now they have more bills, even though they're making more money, and they're like, well, I don't see it. And I'm like, I clearly see where it went. You clearly can see where it went. There is this, I think it's Parkinsons Law, that says your expenses go up proportionally to the income that you make. We tend not to just save it. We want more things. And in our heads, I think it's some kind of trigger that says, well, if I made more money, let me go buy more things, or let me elevate my lifestyle. And instead of saying, okay, well, let me pay some of this debt down, let me get, comfortable that if my income doesn't continue to grow like this, I'll still be okay. We never think about, what if this stops?
Yeah.
What if this slows down?
Well, what about the fact that, at the end of the day, you got a lot of coaches out there that are just like, I consistently bring in $50,000 a month. But they don't tell you that they've been on a journey for 10 years. They don't tell you about when it was 5,000 this month, 1,000 that month, 15,000 this month, nothing for 4 or 5 months. They don't tell you those stories. But I'm here to tell you all that at the end of the day, there is an ebb and flow. Yes. And if Walmart is bringing in $100 million this month, and, they do that consistently, then they're going to have a month where they don't do as much. You know, and when it's Christmas time, what is it? You know, everything from October to December, you know, because people are already buying for Christmas in, you know, October, and then there's Black Friday and Thanksgiving. They may make 2 to 3 times more a month. But then after that, they have this, you know, people ain't hardly buying anything until they get the income tax checks again. And then in the spring, they're making a line. And then in the summer, it trickles down. They don't consistently bring in the same amount of money. And like I tell women, you have to study your business. So I'll use this analogy really quick. When I was a hairstylist, I was a young girl and I peeped game. I'm like, dang, why does this seem like every single year around, you know, late October, November, December, my clients don't come as often? And then I really, but I'm like you, I'm introspective and I ask questions. And so I was like, hey, girl, you know, I would call them what's going on. They'd be like, girl, this St. Louis humidity finally gone. So I could finally wear my hair without it frizzing up. So I just want to enjoy my hair, you know what I'm saying, for a couple of months. But I'll see you back again in January. And so I realized that because I specialized in braids, that from late January, when people started getting early income tax checks, all the way through to the end of September, my income was consistent. And I knew how much money I was going to bring in every week. And in the summertime, there was an excess boom from all of the people that were working out and trying to get their bodies in shape, and sisters did not have time to be looking raggedy. And so they got their hair done. And so there was a psychology behind the way that people purchase from me. There's a psychology behind the way people purchase things from you. And so, but all of this, you are able to build a profitable and sustainable business because you are a student of your business. You are a student of your clients. And if you don't have somebody that's teaching you that and having you look at that, you could get too excited once you have these moments of bringing in a substantial amount of money, not realizing that it's premature. And so even when I was young, since I understood that, I paid extra money on my utility bills in the spring and the summer, so that by the time the winter time came, I had paid so much forward that I had a credit balance and did not have to pay. Or because this is way before budget billing was a thing, y'all. I'm 4 years old. There was no budget billing, but I budget billed for myself. You know, so you might have another thought. I definitely clearly want you to express that, but I don't want you to get out of here without transitioning into what you know, where people can find you and what you have for these ladies. And I'm not going to lie. I really, really would like for you to come back. Because a personal development piece, we didn't really get to talk about that much. And you brought up how you had to develop your own spiritual journey. There's a lot. You're so transparent. You're so open. There's a lot that the women can learn from you. And I would love to record another segment. But for now, you have definitely, Queen, she has definitely given you enough to challenge your mindset right now. Please let the ladies know where they find you and what you have to offer them, because I want them to tap into you.
Okay, so I am on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Takisha Artis. My website is Takisha's Theory. And I want to leave them with this. When it comes to money, anything really that you want to change, you have to first become aware of, what am I doing with this thing? Is it really pushing me towards this goal, or is it distracting me and distancing it from me? And money is no different. If you set goals in January, it is okay to now reevaluate those goals and come up with new ones. We are in a different financial situation. And so what applied in January does not go right now. And so be very open to, okay, what is it that I want to come out of this, and work backwards. We think, okay, I want to save $1,000, and then we start saving, but we don't realize that $1,000 isn't going to be a goal with your saving method. Make saving the goal. Make debt payoff the goal, and just pay it. Don't get consumed with the number. Make the action your goal, and then you'll stick with it because it's automatic at that point. But you have to go back through and say, if this is my goal, what's stopping me? What do I really think about this? Like you had a very good question for them. What's my relationship with money? Those goals, what's my real thoughts about me being an entrepreneur? Am I okay with selling? Am I okay with managing money? Am I okay with these things? And be honest in your response. No one else knows them.
Right.
But you have to examine what your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes are first for you to change them. Yeah. You cannot say, I want to change this and have the same thought process. You just can't.
Nope. So what do you have for them? Yes. Amen to everything.
So I have a freebie. It's called the 10 tips to stay. I just created it last night. So it's 10 tips to stay, to practice financial self-care, even in a crisis. Why? Because the financial landscape is changing, whether people want to admit it or not.
Yes.
3 months ago, everything was fine. We are in a different economic climate right now. And so we have to kind of move forward as such. And there's a lot of fear-based financial decisions being made. And to be wealthy, whatever that means to you, you cannot make decisions based on those emotions, those triggers right now, those bad spending habits. You have got to find your calm, and you have got to learn to really examine what your thoughts are before you spend. There's no reason that people should have 2 years worth of tissue right now that you spent, and now you have so much tissue, you don't have money for other things.
Yeah.
But you have tissue. But that's what that emotional spending is. And so I created this freebie last night because I'm like, this is just a season.
It is.
It is a season. It too shall pass. But you want to come out of this the same, if not better. But you won't be able to do that if you don't change how you view money. You just won't. And so that will be available and ready for everyone, because I can't continue to see the fear in people on social media. And I'm like, this is a season. We've gone through, if you are over, even if you aren't over 18, you've gone through some similar things. You just may not have been affected, and you may not have been aware of it as much. But these seasons happen.
Yes, they do.
We just have to be better prepared mentally, spiritually, and financially for them. And it starts with financial self-care, to me.
Absolutely.
We just have to look at money differently. And I think this is a chance for people who have been scared or fearful or avoiding their finances to really step up, don't bitch about it, and get this done. Honestly.
There it is, ladies. I have nothing else to say other than click the link, get the freebie, and start working on this. So thank you so much for being here. Such a beautiful segment. I know the ladies are going to get a lot from it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies. Till the next segment. We outie. Deuces. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real